Good Saturday morning, everybody. Chris Allen here with your 270 weather. Weather in the 270 for the 270 and beyond. It is May the 3rd and it is Derby Day. Yeah, what's strange is we started out this week. If you look back at some of my earlier posts of this podcast early in the week, it's like, oh, Derby's looking good. Sunshine. It'll be a little bit cooler. It's not going to be bad at all. And then all of a sudden, about the middle of the week, things started to change. And it is going to be a sloppy day. Ugh. It is just going to be rainy. It could even be stormy at times, although I'm not looking for any severe weather. I think the severe weather threat is pretty much done, but it's because of two areas of low pressure. One is moving away, another one is moving in. And then the middle of those two very strong low pressure systems that have no upper winds to steer them out, they're just sitting there on each side, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast, and they're just sitting there with high pressure in the middle. We call that an omega block because you've got it almost looks like the omega symbol, curves around and it comes out like that. It's an omega block that is blocking our weather from progressing. In fact, some of the numbers that I'm looking at this morning are coming in even cooler than what I had last night. If you were watching me on News 40 at 5, 6, and 10, and what we posted even on WNKY.com and the app. I mean, just this morning, some of the numbers have changed and it's cool. Even, dare I say, a little chilly in the coming days. Yeah. It's just the way this thing is behaving. All right, let's check outside. And as we look live here at 6:43 a.m. Central Time from Plano, Kentucky, this is the Plano cam. You can see the clouds that are moving. And we're looking a bit northeast. These clouds are moving pretty much northeast. We have a southwest light wind right now. Sometimes it gets a little breezier, but the winds will be shifting from the west and then the northwest as we go through the day. And that will be the cold front that is going to bring us not only the chance of rain and thunderstorms, but it is also going to bring in the cooler air. So we've got all of that to look forward to today. The timing, not good for the Kentucky Derby. And if you're, going to go to Churchill Downs or go up that direction, it's going to be the same thing there. There's really not anywhere you can go to escape the rain. It's all just kind of socked in here, and it's just going to it's just going to linger. And this time, though, it is not in a way that lingering. I used that term back when we had all the flooding in April. The system parked, it lingered, and we just had day upon day upon day of rain. This is not heavy rain. Now, we may get some drenching downpours today, but this is not the day after day after day of heavy rainfall. This is just day after day of clouds, occasional showers, maybe a thunderstorm, and then the system will finally begin to move out by the beginning of next week. But then there's another one right behind it. That's what I'm talking about. The two low pressure systems, one moving away and then a brief break, and then here comes the other one. Yesterday, for the second day in a row, we had a high of 79 here in Bowling Green, 4 degrees warmer than the normal of 75, a low of 62, and at the airport, 8 hundredths of an inch of rain. But some of you picked up a little bit more than that, and others a little less. And some of you are picking up something this morning. Here is a look at the radar. And as you can see, we've got rain, bands of rain moving through. I don't see any thunderstorms. I'm looking for lightning strikes. I don't see anything. You can see with the arrows, the little boxes and arrows here, you can see that everything is moving off in a northeast fashion, just as you saw the clouds from the Plano cam a few moments ago. And this is primarily the way it's going to be running today. The cold front back here to the west. What happened there when it goes blank? It just it lost data there for a second. But that's pretty much the movement of everything today. And as I mentioned, this will be just, your ordinary garden variety showers, maybe some rumbles of thunder, even at Churchill Downs. And even with the much cooler air taking over, we're still going to be looking at just a rainy, kind of a sloppy day. Let me go to the Mesonet sites, and that way we can look and not only see how cool the temperatures are, but uh, how much rain has been picked up. So here we are, some 50s to the west, and that's because of the cold front making its approach. And then, whoops, along and east of 65. Bring that back up again. It went away. So it's cooler back here to the west, warmer to the east. The cold front is just about to cross over I 65. And so you can see it getting slightly cooler, more into the mid and upper 50s to the west, 60s here in Bowling Green and to the east. Here's a look at rainfall. And so since midnight, uh, almost a half an inch of rain at the sensor that is at the Western Ag Expo Center, out there in the field right next to I 165. And then you've got 65 hundredths of an inch up at the Corvette plant. But then you go over to Woodbury, just outside of Morgantown, 81 hundredths of an inch of rain. But you get down here, this is Logan County, Russellville. You've picked up an inch and 41 hundredths. Then you go a little further to the west, Elkton in Todd County, almost an inch and a quarter. And then look around it, 3/10, half inch, 4/10, 15 hundredths. It's like, it's just kind of a bullseye right there over Todd and Logan counties where some of the heavier rain occurred yesterday and last night. And these numbers are going to keep going up today. Out to the east, you haven't had that much rain. Tenth of an inch to maybe 3 or 4 tenths. There's that one spot there in Greene County where you picked up almost 3/4 of an inch of rain. So there's your rainfall totals. There's a lot more to come today. Just just plan on it. Now see, you can see where the cold front is right now, just where I told you. Uh I-65, it's about to cross I-65 ahead of the front, southerly winds. It is warmer in the 60s. There's the front changing direction of the wind. And then back to the west, the winds are coming from the northwest. So you see the change in direction here. Yeah. So it'll be breezy at times as that cooler wind starts to come in. There you see some breezes at 10 to 12 miles per hour. So, yeah, we're going to see that, or shall I say, feel that as we go through the day today. It's going to feel cooler. So, actually, we're at our warmest right now. And I think we may plateau out this morning. For some of you, you'll plateau out in the mid and upper 60s, maybe. And then the temperatures are going to hold steady or fall later on, especially as we get into the afternoon and evening hours because of that cold front. Here's a look at the high resolution satellite view. And boy, we're socked in, really socked in with the clouds. Now, there are some breaks in the cloud cover back to the west along the Ohio River, Mississippi River, but anywhere you go today, I think is going to be cloudy. It's going to be rainy. Here's Louisville. Of course, uh, it is going to be not a good day. They're going to run. Horses will run. The Derby will run. It's just going to be a wet track. Hopefully, it's not like pouring down rain or lightning when they run the horses. It if it's not lightning, you'll be fine. If there's lightning, they won't run the horses. They'll hold off or they'll do something else, maybe reschedule, who knows. Hopefully it's not going to be that bad. But remember that you can watch the Kentucky Derby on NBC News 40 and the live coverage starts at 1:30. Yeah, it starts that early, like 4 hours early than post time. But all you got to do is go to WNKY NBC 40. 1:30 is the start of coverage, and then post time is what, 5:50 something, or close to 6. Yeah. So there you go. Okay, here's a look at the maps. There's our cold front semi stalled and with a low pressure system. So we've got this is one of two low pressure systems that I told you about setting up that Omega block. Uh, this is the first one. So here we go with the rain, even a few thunderstorms today. Notice the slow movement. Yeah, it comes through, but it doesn't really go all the way through yet. It's going to linger kind of throughout the day. Here we go into early tomorrow morning, or actually, this is this afternoon. Sorry, I didn't look at the time step correctly. I thought it said AM instead of PM, but this is this afternoon. It does come on through, but it only moves from southern Kentucky up to, of course, the Metro Louisville area, where they're running the Derby, Churchill Downs. And you see low pressure, but look at these spokes. Now, I want you to pay attention here to this. These little spokes, these little disturbances stretching out like a rubber band. It's almost like taking a low pressure system, and if you could stretch it out, that's what those little disturbances are like. But since rotation, the winds rotate counterclockwise around a low pressure system, just the opposite for a high pressure system, which is clockwise. We're going counterclockwise. These little spokes in the wheel, so to speak, have got to come back around. They're going to come back around. Even though the low moves away, these little pieces of energy are going to swing back around into our area. That is why the rain is going to linger. Not just today, not just tomorrow, but you'll see. Here we go into 7 o'clock this evening. Here comes another piece of energy swinging back around into southern Kentucky, keeping the rain here. Maybe a little fog over there in the southeastern corner, the Cumberland Plateau. But look at this. And then what happens, and this sometimes happens, we get what's called an occluded low, another $5 word for a separate low pressure system that forms as that energy wraps around itself. So it's almost like, a spinning top, and you get that energy that's spinning around, and then it just that almost like a piece of energy comes off of that and spins back around on the backside of the parent low pressure system. So that is what's going to happen. And as you can see, as we get into Sunday, we're still wet. There's that piece of energy swinging around on the backside of the low. Here we go into Sunday night. Look, the low moved from Louisville to what? Southern Ohio, outside of Cincinnati, and there are those little pieces of energy waiting to swing back down. Now we may see a tapering off Sunday afternoon, but this is where uh, the models are trending much cooler than even what I had last night for temperatures. And look at that. It just, the low just backtracks. Look at that. And therefore, we're going to keep it wet. We're going to keep it damp. Going to keep it cool into Monday. Here's Tuesday, the one day out of the next 7 that I see is going to be dry with high pressure sitting right over the top of us temporarily. But here comes that second low pressure system. See all this back west? All that's got to come through. So here we go on to Wednesday. Rain returns. Thursday, more rain. We're sitting right here. Yep. Here we go into Friday. More rain. Getting old, isn't it? It is. It's just kind of like, oh my goodness. Can we just get a break, please? I don't see one coming uh anytime soon. So we're gonna have to deal with it a little bit longer. Now, here's where you can see a big difference in the numbers. We're gonna go about 68 today. We're all I mean, we're almost there. We're at 64 here in Plano. So 68, it's not going to get that much warmer today than it is right now, thanks to that cold front. Then only near 60 tomorrow. That is a big change from what I had even last night, which I'll show you. But low 60s tomorrow and Monday. Then we do recover back into the low to mid 70s for much of next week, but there's going to be more rain and more thunderstorms. So temperatures are going to hold pretty much in the 70s. I don't see any 80s at this point. So much cooler than even what I was showing last night on News 40. And here it is. Now I had 68 today. Okay, that verifies that that's going to be pretty close to right. But tomorrow, 65, we're going to have to go lower, like maybe 61, 62, rain. Again tomorrow. Monday, this is way off. This is what I'm talking about. With that departing low pressure system and the back spin, that energy that's got to come back around, it is going to make the clouds linger. It is going to make the showers linger. Therefore, with the spin of the wind, much cooler wind from the north being drawn in from the low pressure system, that 73 is going to go more like 63. Yeah, it's going to shave 10 degrees off the temperature, and we got to bump up the chance of rain. 30% is too low. It's going to be more like 50. So Monday is a complete change, even from what this is from last night, 10 o'clock. It changed that quickly. Tuesday, we're still going to keep sunny, and I'm going to keep it 74 because the sun will be out and we should be okay. Then, as we get into next week, somewhat lower numbers than you see here. At first, we're going to go maybe 72 for Wednesday with showers, then 76 Thursday. Okay. Now, I had 63 for next Friday because of the second low pressure system coming in and cooler temperatures, just like is happening right now. But now it appears that we're going to go closer to 70. So this whole thing, I just want to put a big red X over because most of it is not what I had forecast. But neither is what's happening today with the Derby. I didn't have this forecast like this at the beginning of the week. But I mean, everything just changed. And it's because of those two big low pressure systems setting up that block. One we're going to start to get rid of a little bit today and tomorrow, but then we get a break only on Tuesday. And then the second one is going to come in and do the same thing all over again next week. All right. That should do it for your Saturday. Thanks as always for watching. Have a great day. And I'll see you back here tomorrow morning with your 270 weather. God bless.